In the heart of Africa, where the sun dances upon the horizon and the shadows of forgotten kings stretch across the land, lies a realm veiled in the silken embrace of time. This is the land of Aksum, a kingdom steeped in legend and myth, where empires rose and fell like the tides of the sea. Here, amidst the whispers of ancient spirits and the murmurs of distant rivers, lies the kingdom of Aksum, a jewel in the crown of Africa's past. In this sacred realm, where the earth meets the sky and the heavens touch the earth, the echoes of Aksum resonate through the ages, weaving a tapestry of dreams and memories that stretch beyond the boundaries of time itself. In the soft light of dawn, as the world awakens from its slumber, we embark on a journey of discovery and enlightenment, guided by the echoes of Aksum's past and the dreams of its people. But before we embark on this journey through time, let us first immerse ourselves in the vibrant tapestry of modern-day Ethiopia. Here, amidst the hustle and bustle of everyday life, we catch glimpses of the ancient rhythms and traditions that have endured for centuries. In the vibrant markets and bustling villages of Ethiopia, the echoes of Aksum resonate through the ages, connecting past and present in a timeless dance of culture and heritage. In the hallowed halls of faith, where prayers mingle with the scent of incense and the soft glow of candlelight, we feel the presence of those who came before us, their voices whispering across the centuries. As the day fades into night and the stars emerge in the heavens above, we are reminded that the echoes of Aksum are not confined to the pages of history but are woven into the very fabric of Ethiopia itself. The origins of Aksum can be traced back to the first millennium BCE, when a group of Semitic-speaking people ventured into this fertile land. Drawn by the promise of abundant resources and fertile soil, these early settlers laid the foundation for what would eventually become a powerful empire. Aksum served as the kingdom's capital for many centuries but relocated to Kubar in the 9th century due to declining trade connections and recurring external invasions. Emerging from the earlier DMT civilization, the kingdom was founded in 150 BC. It is not known whether a war of succession took place between competing states for control of the region after the fall of DMT evolved to the kingdom of Aksum. Through their ingenuity and resourcefulness, the early Aksumites cultivated the land, harnessing its bounty to sustain their growing population. They mastered the art of agriculture, employing innovative techniques to cultivate crops and tame the wild landscape. But it was not just agriculture that fueled the rise of Aksum. The kingdom's strategic location at the crossroads of Africa, Asia, and Europe made it a vital hub for trade and commerce. Caravans laden with goods traversed the ancient trade routes, bringing wealth and prosperity to Aksum. As the kingdom became a major power on the trade route between Rome and India and gained a monopoly of Indian Ocean trade, it entered the Greco-Roman cultural sphere. Greek was a commonly used language in the Aksumite Empire, coming from the influence of the significant Ethiopian Greek communities established in Aksum, the port of Adulis, Ptolemy Theron, and other cities in the region during Ptolemaic times, although the official and literary language of the Aksumite state was Guizi. Greek was used in the state's administration, international diplomacy, and trade. It can be widely seen in coinage and inscriptions. Guizi, the language of the Agaisian people, was spoken alongside Greek in the court of Aksum. Although during the early kingdom Guizi was a spoken language, it has attestations written in Sabaic script. In the 4th century, Izana of Aksum promoted the Ge'ez script and made Guizi an official state language alongside Greek. By the 6th century literary translations into Guizi were common. After the 7th century's Muslim conquests in the Middle East and North Africa, which effectively isolated Aksum from the Greco-Roman world, Guizi replaced Greek entirely. As the kingdom grew in wealth and influence, so too did its ambition. The early Aksumites expanded their territory, establishing colonies along the Red Sea coast and asserting their dominance over neighboring tribes and kingdoms. Before the establishment of Aksum, the Tigray Plateau of northern Ethiopia was home to a kingdom known as DMT. Archaeological evidence shows that the kingdom was influenced by Sabaeans from modern-day Yemen. Scholarly consensus had previously been that Sabaeans had been the founders of Semitic civilization in Ethiopia, though this has now been refuted, and their influence is considered to have been minor. The Sabaean presence likely lasted only for a matter of decades, but their influence on later Aksumite civilization included the adoption of ancient South Arabian script, which developed into Ge'ez script, an ancient Semitic religion. The initial centuries of Aksum's development, transitioning from a modest regional center to a significant power, remain largely obscure. Stone Age artifacts have been unearthed at Gobidra, 2 kilometers west of Aksum. Excavations on Beta Georgis, a hill to the northwest of Aksum, validate the pre-Aksumite roots of a settlement in the vicinity of Aksum, dating back to approximately the 7th to 4th centuries BC. Further evidence from excavations in the Steel Park at the heart of Aksum corroborates continuous activity in the area from the outset of the Common Era. 2 hills and 2 streams lie on the east and west expanses of the city of Aksum, perhaps providing the initial impetus for settling this area. Archaeological evidence suggests that the Aksumite polity arose between 150 BC and 150 AD. Small-scale district kingdoms, denoted by very large nucleated communities with 1 or more elite residences, appears to have existed in the early period of the Kingdom of Aksum, and that, quite probably, the kingdom was a confederacy, one which was led by a district-level king who commanded the allegiance of other petty kings within the Aksumite realm. The ruler of the Aksumite kingdom was thus King of Kings, a title often found in inscriptions of this period. There is no evidence that a single royal lineage has yet emerged, and it is quite possible that at the death of a King of Kings, a new one would be selected from among all the kings in the confederacy, rather than through some principle of primogeniture. Thus, amidst the untamed wilderness of East Africa, the kingdom of Aksum began its ascent to greatness. Through innovation, trade, and sheer determination, the early Aksumites laid the groundwork for one of the most remarkable civilizations of antiquity. And as we delve deeper into the annals of history, we uncover the extraordinary saga of Aksum's rise to power. The first historical mention of Aksum comes from the Periplus of the Erythraean Sea, a trading guide which likely dates to the mid-1st century AD. Aksum is mentioned alongside Adulis and Ptolemy of the Huns as lying within the realm of Zoscales. The area is described as a primarily producing ivory, as well as tortoise shells. King Zoscales had a Greek education, indicating that Greco-Roman influence was already present at this time. It is evident from the Periplus that, even at this early stage of its history, Aksum played a role in the transcontinental trade route between Rome and India. The Aksumite control over Adulis enabled the exchange of Ethiopian products for foreign imports. Both Pliny the Elder and the Periplus of the Erythraean Sea make reference to this port, situated 3 days away from the initial ivory market at Kolo, itself 5 days distant from Aksum. This trade across the Red Sea, spanning from the Roman Empire in the north to India and Ceylon in the east, played a crucial role in Aksum's prosperity. The city thrived by exporting goods such as ivory, tortoiseshell, and rhinoceros horn. Pliny also mentioned additional items like hippopotamus hide, monkeys, and slaves. During the 2nd century AD, Ptolemy's geographer referred to Aksum as a powerful kingdom. Both archaeological findings and textual evidence suggest that during this period, a centralized regional polity had emerged in the Aksumite area, characterized by defined social stratification. By the beginning of the 4th century AD, the Aksumite state had become well established, featuring urban centers, an official currency with coinage struck in gold, silver, and copper, an intensive agricultural system, and an organized military. According to a Greek inscription in Eritrea known as the Monumentum Adulatanum recorded by Cosmas Indicoplousts, in around the mid to late 3rd century, possibly c. 240 c. 260, the Aksumites led by an anonymous king achieved significant territorial expansion in the Ethiopian highlands and the Arabian Peninsula, with their influence extending as far as Lake Tana and the borders of Egypt. By the end of the 3rd century AD, Aksum had gained recognition by the prophet Mani in the Kephalia, as one of the 4 great powers of the world alongside Rome, Persia, and China. As the political influence of Aksum expanded, so did the grandeur of its monuments. Excavations by archaeological expeditions revealed early use of stelae, evolving from plain and rough markers to some of the largest monuments in Africa. The granite stelae in the main cemetery, housing Aksumite royal tombs, transformed from plain to carefully dressed granite, eventually carved to resemble multi-story towers in a distinctive architectural style. Aksumite architecture featured massive dressed granite blocks, smaller uncut stones for walling, mud mortar, bricks for vaulting and arches, and a visible wooden framework, known as monkey heads or square corner extrusions. Walls inclined inwards and incorporated several recessed bays for added strength. Aksum and other cities, such as Adulis and Matara, boasted substantial palace buildings employing this architectural style. In the early 6th century, Cosmas Indicoplousts described his visit to Aksum, mentioning the 4-towered palace of the Aksumite king, adorned with bronze statues of unicorns. Aksum also featured rows of monumental granite thrones, likely bearing metal statues dedicated to pre-Christian deities. These thrones incorporated large panels at the sides and back with inscriptions, attributed to Usanas, Izana, Caleb, and his son Wazeba, serving as victory monuments documenting the wars of these kings. As the 3rd century dawned upon the lands of Aksum, a transformative era emerged, casting the kingdom into the golden light of its apex. Under the visionary rule of King Izana, Aksum blossomed into a beacon of civilization, its influence stretching far beyond its borders. King Izana became the first Christian ruler of Aksum in the 4th century. Izana's coins and inscriptions make the change from pre-Christian imagery to Christian symbolism around 340 AD. The conversion to Christianity was one of the most revolutionary events in the history of Ethiopia as it gave Aksum a cultural link with the Mediterranean. It was during this illustrious age that Aksum embraced Christianity, marking a profound spiritual awakening that would shape the course of its history. King Izana's conversion not only united his people under a common faith but also forged enduring bonds with Christian nations across the known world. Aksum gained a political link with the Byzantine Empire, which regarded itself as the protector of Christendom. 3 inscriptions on the Ezana stone documents the conversion of King Ezana to Christianity and 2 of his military expeditions against neighboring areas, one inscribed in Greek and the other in Ge'ez. The 2 expeditions refers to 2 distinct campaigns, one against the Dnoba, and the other against the Beja. According to the inscription, the Noba were settled somewhere around the Nile and Atbara confluence, where they seem to have taken over much of the kingdom of Kush. Yet they did not drive the Kushites away from their heartland, since the inscription states that the Aksumites fought them at the junction of the 2 rivers. Also mentioned in the inscription are the mysterious Red Noba, against whom an expedition was carried out. This people seems to be settled further north and may be identical with the other Nobades mentioned in the inscription of the Nubian king Silko carved on the wall of the Temple of Kalabsha. With fervent devotion, Aksum's artisans and architects crafted magnificent churches and monasteries, adorned with intricate carvings and towering spires that reached towards the heavens. These architectural marvels stand as enduring testaments to the kingdom's cultural sophistication and unwavering faith. But Aksum's golden age was not solely defined by spiritual enlightenment. Its prosperity extended to every facet of society, fueled by vibrant trade networks that spanned continents. From the exotic spices of the east to the precious metals of the south, Aksum's merchants traded goods of unparalleled richness, enriching the kingdom and cementing its status as a global powerhouse. King Caleb sent an expedition against the Jewish Himyarite king Dhu Nuwas, who was persecuting the Christian community in Yemen. Caleb gained widespread acclaim in his era as the conqueror of Yemen. He expanded his royal title to include King of Hadramaut in southeastern Yemen, as well as the coastal plain and highland of Yemen, along with all their Arabs, highlighting the extensive influence of Aksum across the Red Sea into Arabia. Dhu Nuwas was deposed and killed and Caleb appointed an Arab viceroy named Esamiphios, Sumwafa Ashawa, but his rule was short-lived as he was ousted in a coup led by an Aksumite named Abraha after 5 years. Caleb sent 2 expeditions against Abraha, but both were decisively defeated. According to Procopius, following Aksum's unsuccessful attempts to remove him, Abraha continued to govern Yemen through a tribute arrangement with the king of Aksum. After Abraha's death, his son Masrek Abraha continued the Aksumite viceroyalty in Yemen, resuming payment of tribute to Aksum. However, his half-brother Ma'd-Karib revolted. Ma'd-Karib first sought help from the Roman Emperor Justinian the Great, but having been denied, he decided to ally with the Sassanid Persian Emperor Khosrow I, triggering the Aksumite-Persian Wars. Khosrow I sent a small fleet and army under Commander Varez to depose the king of Yemen. The war culminated with the siege of Sana'a, capital of Aksumite Yemen. After its fall in 570, and Masrek's death, Ma'd-Karib's son, Saif, was put on the throne. In 575, the war resumed again, after Saif was killed by Aksumites. The Persian general Varez led another army of 8,000, ending Aksum rule in Yemen and becoming hereditary governor of Yemen. According to Stuart Monroe, these wars may have been Aksum's swan song as a great power, with an overall weakening of Aksumite authority and over-expenditure in money and manpower. Amidst the bustling markets and grand palaces, Aksum scholars and scribes flourished, preserving ancient wisdom and advancing knowledge in fields ranging from philosophy to medicine. The kingdom's libraries became renowned centers of learning, attracting scholars from far and wide to study and exchange ideas. In general, elite Aksumite buildings such as palaces were constructed atop podia built of loose stones held together with mud mortar, with carefully cut granite corner blocks which rebated back a few centimeters at regular intervals as the wall got higher, so the walls narrowed as they rose higher. These podia are often all that survive of Aksumite ruins. Above the podia, walls were generally built with alternating layers of loose stone, often whitewashed, like at Yemerhana Crestos Church, and horizontal wooden beams, with smaller round wooden beams set in the stonework often projecting out of the walls. These are called monkey heads, on the exterior and sometimes the interior. Both the podia and the walls above exhibited no long straight stretches but were indented at regular intervals so that any long walls consisted of a series of recesses and salients. This helped to strengthen the walls. Worked granite was used for architectural features including columns, bases, capitals, doors, windows, paving, water spouts, often shaped like lion heads, and so on, as well as enormous flights of stairs that often flanked the walls of palace pavilions on several sides. Doors and windows were usually framed by stone or wooden crossmembers, linked at the corners by square, monkey heads, though simple lintels were also used. Many of these Aksumite features are seen carved into the famous stele as well as in the later rock-hewn churches of Tigray and Lalibela. The stele are perhaps the most identifiable part of the Aksumite architectural legacy. These stone towers serve to mark graves and represent a magnificent multi-storied palace. They are decorated with false doors and windows in typical Aksumite design. The largest of these towering obelisks would measure 33 meters high had it not fractured. The stele have most of their mass out of the ground, but are stabilized by massive underground counterweights. The stone was often engraved with a pattern or emblem denoting the king's or the noble's rank. For important monuments built in the region, a particular type of granite is used called nepheline syenite. It is fine-grained and has also been used in historic monuments like the stele. These monuments are used to celebrate key figures in Aksum history, especially kings or priests. These steles are also called obelisks. They are located in the Myheja stele field, where complex sedimentology of the land can be observed. The foundations for the monuments are around 8.5 m below the surface of the Myheja stele field. Sediments in this area have undergone a lot of weathering over the years, so the surface of this area has undergone a lot of changes. This is part of the reason for the complex stratigraphic history in this site, some previous layers under the surface of the site. In the annals of history, the golden age of Aksum shines brightly as a testament to the heights that civilization can achieve. It was a time of unparalleled achievement, where faith, culture, and commerce converged to create a legacy that would endure for centuries to come. And though the sands of time may have obscured its glory, the echoes of Aksum's golden age continue to resonate, inspiring future generations to reach for greatness. In the annals of history, the golden age of Aksum shines brightly as a testament to the heights that civilization can achieve. It was a time of unparalleled achievement, where faith, culture, and commerce converged to create a legacy that would endure for centuries to come. And though the sands of time may have obscured its glory, the echoes of Aksum's golden age continue to resonate, inspiring future generations to reach for greatness. As the centuries passed, the kingdom of Aksum faced mounting challenges that would eventually lead to its decline. Internal power struggles, external invasions, and environmental changes all contributed to the unraveling of this once mighty civilization. The rise of Islam in the 7th century CE posed a significant threat to Aksum's dominance. As trade routes shifted and new powers emerged in the region, the kingdom found itself increasingly isolated and vulnerable. Aksumite trade in the Red Sea likely suffered due to the Persian conquests in Egypt and Syria, followed by the defeats in Yemen. However, a more enduring impact occurred with the rise of Islam in the early 7th century and the expansion of the Rashidun Caliphate. Aksum initially had good relations with its Islamic neighbors. In 615 AD, for example, early Muslims from Mecca fleeing Qurayshi persecution traveled to Aksum and were given refuge. This journey is known in Islamic history as the First Hijra. However, in 630, Muhammad sent a naval expedition led by Umar against al-Habash, the expedition of Alqama bin Mujazziz, igniting hostile relations. Trade with the Roman/Byzantine world came to a halt as the Arabs seized the eastern Roman provinces. Consequently, Aksum experienced a decline in prosperity due to increased isolation and eventually ceased production of coins in the early 8th century. The Islamic conquests were not solely responsible for the decline of Aksum. Another reason for the decline was the expansions of the Beja nomads. Due to the poverty of their country, many of them began to migrate into the northern Ethiopian plateau. At the end of the 7th century AD, a strong Beja tribe known as the Zanafaj entered the Eritrean plateau through the valley of Gashbarka. They overran and pillaged much of the Eritrean highlands as the Aksum could no longer maintain its sovereignty over the frontier. As a result, the connection to the Red Sea ports was lost. Environmental factors also played a role in Aksum's decline. Droughts and soil erosion took a toll on agriculture, leading to food shortages and economic instability. Around this same time, the Aksumite population was forced to go farther inland to the highlands for protection, abandoning Aksum as the capital. Arab writers of the time continued to describe Ethiopia, no longer referred to as Aksum, as an extensive and powerful state, though they had lost control of most of the coast and their tributaries. While land was lost in the north, it was gained in the south, and, though Ethiopia was no longer an economic power, it still attracted Arab merchants. The capital was then moved south to a new location called Kubar. The Arab writer Yaqubi was the first to describe the new Aksumite capital. The capital was probably located in southern Tigray or Angat. However, the exact location of this city by the 10th century CE, the once great kingdom of Aksum had faded into obscurity, its glory days a distant memory. Yet, despite its fall from power, Aksum's legacy endured. Today, the legacy of Aksum lives on in the traditions, language, and faith of the Ethiopian people. The ruins of this ancient kingdom stand as reminders of a glorious past and a testament to the enduring spirit of Africa. As the sun sets on the kingdom of Aksum, its story continues to inspire and captivate all who dare to listen. For in the echoes of its history, we find the timeless lessons of resilience, faith, and the enduring power of civilization. Though the sands of time may obscure its once great monuments and the pages of history may fade, the legacy of Aksum endures. In the hearts and minds of the Ethiopian people, in the rhythm of their music and the cadence of their language, the spirit of Aksum lives on. Its story, like the ageless melody of the wind coursing through these centuries-old stones, weaves a tapestry of courage, resilience, and the indomitable spirit of a people destined to leave their mark upon the sands of time. And so, as we bid farewell to the fading light of day and the echoes of Aksum's past, let us carry forward the torch of its legacy, a beacon of hope, inspiration, and the enduring promise of a brighter tomorrow.